So Natalie, you can take over the, thank you. I will be using that as well. So for the next segment, we have the distinct pleasure of hosting Loranne Vella. Loranne is a celebrated Maltese novelist, short story writer, essayist, and translator whose career demonstrates an interdisciplinary approach to challenging the status quo. She is known for her eco-novels Magna Mater and Rocket, which was awarded the National Book Prize of Malta in 2018. She is also the co-founder and co-editor of the online literary journal Afroconfuso. Crucially, she is here today because of her latest novel, Marta Marta, which won the 2023 National Book Prize. This work is a bold, polyphonic interrogation of gender, identity, and most importantly for this conference, the highly restricted discourse surrounding abortion and bodily autonomy in Malta. In this interview, we will be discussing the unique role of literature in challenging laws and attitudes and how her work attempts to shift the cultural conversation on reproductive justice. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to the award-winning author and activist, Loranne Vella. You can take that mic, maybe.
Thank you, Andrea.
So let's start with the first question. At the National Book Prize, you wore the T-shirt that you're wearing today, stating "Abort Blatort," abortion without blame. Can you discuss the significance of making such a visible and direct political statement on a night celebrating literature in Malta?
Yes, I wanted to embarrass the minister. If Marta were to win, it did win, but I didn't know that back then. So I thought that if the novel is chosen as the winner, I want to go up for the award and shake hands with the minister. And with the words quoted from the book, I wanted it to be visible. Like, this is not a little book, and it's an innocent little book. It's a novel, yes, it's a literary novel. It's a work of literature, but it's also political. And this is one of the things that are stated in the novel, and it's in Maltese. So yeah, unfortunately, the minister did not turn up. So,
but then your T-shirt became quite famous because it was on all social media and all the newspapers when you were holding the book prize. So I think the message was very clear.
Yes, because as you said, Marta is not just about abortion. It's about gender oppression, but you cannot tackle gender oppression in Malta without referring to the non-existent access to abortion. So yeah.
Yeah, so that takes us to our next question. You have expressed that you believe that all literature should be political, and you stated that you would consider Marta Marta a success if it helped change the abortion law in Malta. So what do you see as the role of literature in achieving real-world political change in a country with such restrictive laws?
So, as I already said, literature is never innocent. So it can be considered as a pastime, as something you do on your own, you read. It can be considered harmless, but actually literature has been shaping the way we live for centuries. So the stories we read, the stories we write are actually manipulative. And there is an impact. Like, if we read about what does it mean to be alive in this society, it means to be part of a family. A family means having a mother and a father, hopefully a brother and a sister, and later on you'll have your own family. So if this discourse is always present in literature, for example, it's not innocent. It is promoting a model. So my form of activism is through literature, because I know that literature is a weapon. It's a very powerful weapon, and it has to be used responsibly, because very often it is used manipulatively. So, so yes, I do believe that by writing about things that can help to change. So if you break away from the usual stories you can perhaps eventually bring about some form of change. It is very interesting to know that I think that well, there were no feminist novels written before Marta Marta, and abortion was hardly ever referred to. So there's a lot of stigma, and if you are not able to write about these things, how will you be able to implement them in the real world? So the stigma has to be made to disappear in some way, and I think that literature is one way of doing this. So the protests are very important. The activism out in the street is very important, also through literature. So that is my my way of dealing with this.
Yes. So you consistently use Maltese across your writing and even public discussions. In fact, today you made an exception for us because of the international audience. And you consciously choose to tackle profound, often challenging concepts like gender, identity, and reproductive rights in Maltese. How do you view the choice to use Maltese as an act of activism? And what specific impact does this linguistic choice have on the cultural conversation surrounding these issues here in Malta?
As I said, literature is not innocent, but neither is language. So language is never innocent. So when we use one language instead of another, there are also political implications. In Malta, we have Maltese as a national language. We also have Maltese and English as official languages. This is fortunate, but also unfortunate for various reasons, because we tend to use Maltese at home when we speak of emotions with our friends. As soon as we start talking about philosophical, political concepts, we switch to English. And this is the language of our ex-colonizers. So in my writing, I'm always dealing with oppression. I didn't notice immediately that I was doing that. So my first novel was for young adults was about bullying. And later on, I was talking about political oppression. And then when I came to Marta Marta, I realized that I want to talk about this other form of oppression, gender oppression. And by having this overpowering presence of English when we're talking about matters that are specifically about our situation in Malta, we are importing ideas from outside and just placing them and not even translating them, just using mottos, for example. I am not happy with the way that, for example, our body, our choice. So it's something that was drafted and created somewhere else. What if we use our own language? Maltese is our language, because a lot of people who are facing difficulties when it comes to if they need an abortion, but they cannot access it. Why do they have to talk about it in English if English is not their first language? So as a writer, language is my tool. For me, it's a political decision. It's not just a literary or an artistic or a creative decision. It's also a political decision. And in fact, in the novel, there are these activists that are that they come up with their own slogan. And I wanted to take the slogan out of the fictitious world of Marta Marta and really print it onto a t-shirt and take it out in the real world, because that's how literature works, from fiction, and it seeps into reality. It's like, to quote Monique Wittig, it's like a Trojan horse, and that's how we have to use it. So I came up with my own.
Yeah, so a board Blatort can we eventually discuss whether this should be our my body, my choice kind of.
But for me, it was important because tort, there is this expression which is very harmful, where it says, like, if a woman gets pregnant and she doesn't, they immediately tortaha, her fault.
Yeah,
she's to blame. So for me, it's very powerful. it
Mhm.
sends shivers. over my- But when I hear it, it's like, why? Why is it her fault? Did she just snap her fingers and
Mhm.
get pregnant? We also, the discussion has to also include, for example, the idea of rape.
Mhm.
No, it's part of it.
Okay, and so for our last question before we go for coffee, so the fight for reproductive justice in Malta is ongoing. What is the core message you hope your novel conveys, and what guidance or hope do you have for those at this conference? We have even people online, we have around 30 people online who are on the front lines of this movement.
If I take Marta really works on the idea of community. So it promotes the idea of working together, because that is how we get our strength. It's a war, and we have to be warriors, because the war has always been against us. So I think this is really my suggestion.
Community.
Community, working
Yes.
as a community.
So on that note, Loranne, thank you so much for this powerful and insightful discussion. Your work reminds us that literature is a vital tool for demanding change and articulating the deeply personal struggles inherent in the fight for reproductive justice here in Malta. I want to remind everyone, Loranne will be present at the Malta Book Festival, which is running this weekend at the MFCC Ta'ali. Crucially, tomorrow she will be launching Antologia 2 for Afro Confuso, a platform that celebrates bold, unconventional writing. In fact, we have another author who will be reading an excerpt of her story in the afternoon. And if you appreciated the political and artistic depth of her discussion today, be sure to visit her at the Afro Confuso stand this weekend.